Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Alberto Porro with Priority Objective Consulting, LLC. As you see, we're a veteran-owned professional service. A little bit about myself. I am a 19-year Army vet, combat wounded in Iraq, was hit with an IED. I also am a 20-year police officer. I'm currently a detective with the city of Miami Beach. I'm a homicide detective. Um, excuse me. Right. Uh, sorry, which button? This one there? Yes. There you go. Thank you. Sorry about that. A little bit of myself. There you go. In the Army, I was a staff sergeant in the infantry. And then in 2004, I, uh, I became a police officer. I was already in the military. Came home from my last deployment in 2011. So at POC, we think there's two problems that we're confronting. As many people know, number one problem is that the almost 80, more than 85% of all police departments, first responder departments are understaffed. You see it on TV every day. We're short. It's a national epidemic. It's only getting worse, um, which obviously leads to staffing shortages. It's industry wide. Just in all police departments, long hours, extended shifts, fatigue, and then obviously response times are not what they are because we just don't have the people. My own department is down almost 50 sworn officers today. Um, Obviously, in the state of Florida, we are a very police-friendly state, but still, for every 1,000 people in the population, you have 2.3 officers. And then if you include schools and ports, which are dedicated resources, you have 2.5. So the numbers don't really increase that much. Our second problem that we're combating is the underutilization of military assets of our not only of our active duty soldiers that are getting out, airmen, Marines, but the veteran, or I'm sorry, reservists and National Guardsmen. Just in South Florida alone, you have 12 reserve and National Guard installations. That's just South Florida, and that's a potential that's not being tapped. One of the issues that you have is outdated hiring requirements. Most departments say we need 3 years of active duty experience. Obviously, you get out of the military, you have a DD 214, you have an honorable discharge. There's no problem. But there's soldiers that are join the National Guard reserves, are in for about a year and a half, do the training. They go to AIT, MOS, and then they go to the reserve duty. But they don't have those 3 years, and they could be serving for X amount of years already in the National Guard or reserve component, but they don't meet that outdated requirement. So our solution at POC is for us to have comprehensive veteran recruiting approach. Um, Speaking to organizations, speaking to HR departments, recruiting units, deploy clear procedures to change that narrative, to get out of that antiquated requirements, tailor made to each department, each agency. Um, you know, Here you see all the benefits that hiring veterans present to the organizations, and then those two problems that I speak of are going to be interconnected because they're going to solve each other. Creating military-friendly jobs, obviously, you see a lot of people when they get out of the military, they move into government work, especially police, fire, first responders. Um, Military specific, organizations that consult and are internal, have veterans already that say, listen, let's spread this word. Let's get veterans hired. Just like the state of Florida and Veterans Florida, that's our priority, is getting veterans hired. Analyzing the workforce, define veterans and access military assets for specific branches. So, speaking veteran, I speak to with my department. My department had no idea. And Miami Beach, everybody's heard of Miami Beach. You see it on TV, you see it on the news. They had no idea how to read a DD-214. All everybody does is go to that last line on the bottom, says honorable. Okay, that's just check the box. But they don't know really what's on there. And a DD-214 is a resume. If you know how to read it, if you know what you're looking at, you can see everything, what they've been through, the things they've been taught, and what they are. So our traction for these last couple of years, I've been doing this for my department. I was flabbergasted at just the ignorance that we had as an organization in reaching out to veterans and to getting those things going. So I've been doing this for a while, and with other peer support groups. Our operations basically is to consult, audit, and analyze what the needs are, and the needs are to hire veterans. And we want to be out there with these HR departments. Most police departments, over 90% of police departments in the country, are less than 100 sworn officers. Most departments don't have the assets and the resources to have their own unit, like you see here today, to come out and recruit. They don't have it. They just don't know. They don't have the manpower to do it. So that's why at POC, we think we could tackle it. So to our target market, HR departments, recruiting units with agencies of 60 or fewer, which are in the 90 percentile of most departments. Our selling point is that we have a team of veterans that are veterans and law enforcement. So we're subject matter experts in both. Industry landscape, we're a consulting organization, and obviously consulting is a big industry now. Our competitor analysis, you can go to Indeed, Monster, all this, but that's just generic recruiters, and we're going to specialize in getting veterans hired. A revenue model, as you see, it's going to be a one-on-one at the beginning. We want to sit down with agencies, see what they need, see what their manpower is, what are they willing to offer to get veterans hired, and then basically as we move on, our packages, our recruiting, basically at $1,000 per recruit. Now compared to what they'll be spending on overtime, fatigue, extended hours, they're going to be off winning right there. And then obviously we would tier it on base of employees as things move forward. Our 3-year plan is 1 active contract per quarter so we could dedicate to each department that we meet with, forecast the scale as we grow, and we're all going to be, as I said, veteran and law enforcement specialists. We're going to dedicate 2-person team to each contract, and then move forward. This is our ask. Obviously, just to start up, we do have a website, priorityobjectiveconsulting.com. We have an Instagram and our LinkedIn. We're starting to get some traction. And in police work, as much as it is a professional organization, it's all about word of mouth. People learn from each other. The trust grows, and that's our we believe our avenue to move forward. So at Priority Objective Consulting, we're just like the state of Florida and Veterans Florida. We believe that having veterans in leadership positions is a key to success. And we thank everybody here for giving us an opportunity to be here. And I'm open for any questions.
All right. So you had a slide there where you looked at the DD-214,
Yes, sir.
kind of had an arrow over to the resume.
Right.
That seems like a job well suited for AI. Have you looked at using an AI tool that could take a DD-214
So
automatically?
we have kind of we've looked at that, but I think at the end of the day, looking at a DD-214 is going to have to be a human looking at it, a person that's a veteran that's been that knows the system, knows what's in a DD-214. Sometimes I look at my DD-214. If I didn't know what I'm looking at, it's all it's just language and words and some numbers. So we definitely believe that a veteran looking at that and explaining it to an HR recruiting department is the key.
So my next question is, what's your biggest challenge you think going forward, the biggest hurdle that you've got to cross to be able to kind of access these police departments?
So I think the biggest thing is what I mentioned is everybody saying, well, we're just going to get a blanket recruiting company to come and help us. The big firms, but again, those big firms they're just going to give you a sanitized product. We're going to go actually be hands-on. Like I said, South Florida has 12 reserve installations. That's just South Florida. We're the ones going to go to these units. Most of us have been in these units. I was in active duty and I was in the National Guard. I know these commanders. I know these sergeant majors. I know I can pick up a phone and say, listen, let's set up a recruiting day on one of your drill weekends. I was lucky enough when I came home, I had a job waiting for me. I was a cop. After a couple of months, I went back, got in a police car, had teams. I had that camaraderie. I had the sense of purpose. I know guys and girls that they get home from training, they get home from deployments, and they go work at Publix and they go work at Subway. Not that those aren't bad jobs, but those aren't careers. And then that leads down a path of the crisis that we have with veterans today.
Yeah, so I think the other challenge you may have is how you're going to build your pool of potential candidates.
So what I have is
the veterans. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I have one team member, which is here Melissa Porro. She is a sergeant with the Sunny Isles Beach Police Department, which is she's in charge of recruiting, backgrounds investigations, and administration. So we would both have to begin with. That would be both avenues: the veteran avenue, and then the requirements for FDLE in the state of Florida. I have several people on board that are willing to help us that are the same. They're veteran and law enforcement. So when we go to these meetings and speak with them, we're going to speak with them as subject matter experts. When there's not going to be, well, I'll get you 20 employees by next month. We're going to give them exactly what they need and how to do it.
You mind going back to your pricing slide?
Yes, sir.
So obviously in the consulting side,
Yeah.
10,000 per month per package. On the recruiting side, then 1,000 per recruit, and then 1,000 for retention. Where did you come up with that 1,000 per recruit?
So we looked at speaking with HR.
To me, that's very low.
Right. So speaking with my department and a couple of the peer support groups in Dade County, we kind of came up with how much do you spend going to recruiting fairs, going to some they may go to some university recruiting or some military ones. Our department has been sending 3 individuals to recruiting expos. None of them are veterans. And I said, all right, how much are you spending there overtime while they're there? TDY paid back and forth. And we kind of got that number as like, well, we're going to do that for you. If you're going to send $1,000 or less to send somebody to an expo that has no idea of what they're trying to get, then that's what we came up with that idea. I know it is low, but that's at the beginning. That's we're a startup, so that's where we're pointing.
So I think this is great. I'm a resident of Miami Beach, and I see the problems.
Yeah, you look
all
very
the time.
familiar to me.
Yeah,
Yes.
so
Do tell.
what would have gave it away? No, I think it's great. I will say too, my question is in terms of strategic partnerships, can
Yes.
you go a little bit deeper into that?
So what we believe is that as our branding gets out there and our name gets out is certifying us as a vet friendly organization. Meeting with these with the veteran community, different organizations, getting that brand, getting that partnership, so that when we do present and we do meet with HR departments or recruiting departments, they say, listen, we've already been established, we've been certified by these different organizations to show it that we're that our goal is hiring veterans. So if that's what they want to hire, and I'm telling you, that's what they need. I'm not going to mince words. The crisis in this country when it comes to first responder numbers it's getting worse. People are retiring at a 5% increase since 2019. We all see TV, we see what's going on, and that's increasing every year. Our own department, Miami Beach, is having that crisis. So that's why we believe that if we get that branding, we get that partnership, I think we can solve that issue.
Yeah, and then my second question is considering positioning for these veterans in these say police departments or whatever it is. Do you have basically a more strategic position for them? So let's say a diver gets out and you have a slot at rescue
Correct.
dive team
So
or
if
SWAT with EOD.
So if we go and we recruit at, let's say, at Central Command here in Tampa or at Southern Command, and you have, guys that are, service members that are intelligence that are, dive, down from Key West, we have, we could showcase our Marine Patrol unit. We can showcase these things for them. So they say after a certain amount of time that you're on the road, you're doing your probationary time. These are the slots that we can open up. Our Marine Patrol is short because we don't have enough people to be on the road to then fill those slots. So all these things will go hand in hand. So yeah, that's the thing that, as I mentioned one of the slides, that we want to target specific branches, specific MOSs to fill those slots. And because if you just go and just throw a blanket out there, you're not going to get much.
Do you have a success story that you can share?
I will tell you my own
model?
success story. So my department, I offered to help, and I started helping out. And we've started to change the verbiage in our own policy, as the verbiage is a 3-year active duty requirement in lieu of a college degree. The college degree issue, I think, is another thing that we're going to tackle. But the 3-year active duty is a very antiquated just requirement, and I gave them an option to change that to 3 years of military service. If a person is out and has an honorable discharge, then so be it, they're fine. But if a person is in the, let's say, National Guard or Reserve for 3 years, is an NCO, has a rank, has been serving, but hasn't had 3 years of active duty time just based on rotation that their unit hasn't deployed, how's that candidate not a potential all-star for you? So we're changing that, and I think we're going to get it done in the next couple of sessions, and hopefully we can move forward with that. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody.